Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. Going to read through the full article here. It is fairly short. There's a link in the description, and it is a bizarre, sick case of evil grandparenting. So the death of a 4-year-old girl from Louisiana at the hands of the grandparents who forced the 4-year-old girl to drink a half bottle of whiskey. She had taken a sip of the whiskey. The 4-year-old girl had taken a sip of the whiskey. As punishment, this evil, I'm going to say low IQ, evil low IQ grandparent forced her 4-year-old granddaughter to drink half a bottle of whiskey. Subsequently, the 4-year-old girl died. The parent, the so-called parent, stood by watching. What did she do? Nothing. She enabled it. I mean, what is wrong with these people? I have to say low IQ. Evil, for sure. For sure evil. But there's a part of me that suspect that this is more than just evil. That, there must be... I have to presume that they didn't realize they had too low IQ to realize the dire consequences of forcing a 4-year-old to drink half a bottle of whiskey. I mean, how could they allow that to occur, thinking that it's going to end in any way other than extremely bad? That's why I have to presume that these people are low IQ. I'm not taking away their evilness, but I'm just pointing out that, in my view, they must be low IQ. And by low IQ, I mean, I would normally say a word which isn't really accepted nowadays, but, the R word, or dumb. I mean dumb. I mean, like, extremely idiotic. Here is the victim, 4-year-old China record, I'm not sure. And she died on Thursday after her grandmother allegedly forced her to drink half a bottle of whiskey. There's the grandmother, 53 years of age. Look, this is what I mean. 53 years of age, yeah? Has reached full maturity, is a grandmother, has been around children for perhaps all of her life, but certainly in the last 30 odd years or whatever. And in her brain, she thinks it's acceptable. She thinks there's some kind of benefit or good reasoning in forcing a 4-year-old to drink half a bottle of whiskey. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, that's evil. I'm not taking away from the evilness of it, but I have to presume that there's at least a certain percentage of just absolute fucking low IQ-ness. There's the mother, Kadja record, 28 years of age. Again, I've just got to think low IQ, just like the level of ineptness, the incompetence. This is kind of where my brain goes to. I could be wrong. Maybe this is just pure and utter evil, and that's as far as it goes. But I just think these people just must be... I'm going to say it, beasts, savages. Just, I don't know. A Louisiana mother and grandmother were charged with murder on Friday after they forced a 4-year-old girl to drink half a bottle of whiskey as punishment for taking a sip. Roxanne Record, the grandmother, 53 years of age, and her daughter Kadja Record, 28, were each booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison following the death of Kadja's daughter China Record from acute alcohol poisoning. The little girl had a blood alcohol level of 0.068, more than 8 times the legal 0.08 legal limit for people over 21 to drive when she died. Have you ever drank half a bottle of whiskey? I have. It didn't go well. Police were called to the home in the Windsor Place area of Baton Rouge on Thursday morning to reports of an unresponsive child. On arriving at the home on Wallace Street and Harco Drive, they were told by China's siblings that the grandmother was angry because the little girl, 4-year-old China, had taken a sip of the Canadian mist whiskey which was left on the counter. Okay, so the child did something that children do. As a punishment, the child was told to kneel on the floor and finish off the remaining half of the bottle. That is just sick, you fucking evil. See you next Tuesday. You fucking sick. See you next Tuesday. I would like to say that word. I like saying that word. I feel anger. I feel it's completely appropriate. I'm not saying that word for two reasons. One, because it's going to offend some of you, and to be honest with you, I don't really care about that part. But the real reason is because of YouTube's terms of service. I'm just trying to avoid using it really for that part, I think. But I mean, I just want to express myself, and that's how I would express myself. It seems so appropriate to me. A sick. See you next Tuesday. Just, she was doing this purposefully. She is evil. I'll take it back. Maybe she doesn't have low IQ. She is evil. Forcing her to kneel on the floor and finish off the remaining half of the bottle. You fucking... I would... Oh. Cardia Record, the daughter, the mother of the 4-year-old, Cardia Record watched as her daughter was forced to drink the liquor, which gave her a blood alcohol content of 0.680. I mean, I'm not a scientist, so that part doesn't really register in my brain. But I've drank half a bottle of whiskey before. That part I understand. And, I mean, that's enough to send a grown man to hospital. Half a bottle of whiskey is a lot. I'm sure some of you guys polish down a full bottle of whiskey from time to time with no severe adverse effects. But, if you're not used to the alcohol, half a bottle is a lot, even for a grown adult. Certainly, a woman, a female. But of course, I don't need to tell anybody here to force a 4-year-old to drink half a bottle of whiskey is just absolute insanity. Drivers, okay, so we don't need to know that part. The grandmother told investigators at the scene that she messed up and wanted to take full responsibility for the child's death. She said this went too far. No shit, Sherlock. She added that she had ruined everyone's lives. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. You've had a family. I mean, look, is this the first time that this sick mother, the sick grandmother, has abused this child or any other children? Is this the first time? No, it isn't. How can I confidently say that? I don't know these people. How could I possibly know? Well, I mean, I can just use reason and common sense. She's literally forced a 4-year-old girl to drink half a bottle of whiskey. She's admitted to it. That's a sick act to do, to force a child, because of course, a 4-year-old child isn't going to just like glug it down. They're going to need to be forced. It would have been a process over some time because she's not going to want to drink it. Is that the first act of hideous child abuse this woman has committed? No, because things like this, they start off at a certain level and then they increase and they increase and then they increase. So this is likely the worst case of child abuse that this grandmother has been guilty of doing. Likely, not necessarily. Maybe she's done other equally reckless, evil, sick, child abusive acts. Maybe she has. But certainly this is, very extreme. But it would not have been the first act of child abuse that this woman has committed. I guarantee it. I can't guarantee that. I'm not speaking totally literally. I'm just expressing my thoughts using common sense. Equally with the mother, Kadja record, would this have been the first time that she stood by or sat by and watched as her child or another child has been abused by the grandmother or by anyone else? No. This will be a ritual enabler. And on quite a few videos that I've been making over the last few months, I go on a bit of a mini rant, which I'm about to launch into, about enabling. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know everything about this kind of topic. I'm talking with some level of understanding of what enabling is, but not a full-blown psychological perspective. And what I'm going to say is that enabling has to be stopped. If you see enabling happening, and not necessarily to this heinous extent, I mean, enabling can happen on a much more trivial extent, where the victimization isn't as obvious, isn't necessarily as immediately severe, but enabling happens a lot, and we're never going to be able to eradicate all enabling. We're all probably guilty of enabling ourselves and others, a lot, but we must be vigilant of it, and we must do what we can to step in, to call out enabling where we can. Because enabling escalates. Enabling allows the escalation of bad behavior. Again, I guarantee, I'm not literally able to guarantee, but I guarantee in a non-literal sense that the mother here, Kadja Record, had previously witnessed the grandmother being abusive to her child and or other children, perhaps to a lesser extent, perhaps to not such a severe extent, but I guarantee, not literally, that the mother would have witnessed the grandmother having acted in an abusive manner towards children and not done anything, stood by, perhaps not actively encouraged it, but certainly not acted in a way to deter such abusive behavior, or certainly not acted in a strong enough way to effectively deter such abusive behavior. So that's enabling. It just gives the grandmother in this case a pass. Hey grandmother, you probably shouldn't do that, but I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. I'll just watch and sit here, and perhaps I'll tut and say, oh, come on grandmother, you shouldn't do that, stop now. But I'm not going to do anything effective to stop you. So that means that tomorrow, grandmother, you'll be able to do it again if you want. And I won't stop you tomorrow either. I'll enable you. I'll enable your bad behavior. Lo and behold, these things escalate. Lo and behold, tragic things occur. Enabling, we see it all the time. We see it in families, we see it in workplaces, we see it in many situations. And look, I'm not trying to be overly preachy. There are times that, we can't object every single time. There's some level of enabling. Sometimes it's going to be more trivial than others. But certainly if we see bad behavior occurring, we have to not enable it, and we have to challenge those that do enable it. We have to. If we don't, bad behavior is going to continue, and with that, escalate. So there's my rant. Of course, condolences to the victim, a 4-year-old girl, China. She looks like a very sweet girl to me. She did an act that a child does. She did something a little naughty. She took a sip of something she wasn't allowed to take a sip of. Do you think this 4-year-old girl even understands what alcohol is? Of course she doesn't. She was forced, torturously, to drink half a bottle of whiskey. And it killed her. She was killed by her own grandparent whilst her mother watched. That is the full article. Both women are charged with first-degree murder, so I'm happy with that. I am happy with that. That is the right and just charge. I could have been concerned that there would have been a lesser charge, but I'm glad that it's first degree murder. I'm glad it's first degree murder for both of them. I mean, I would say, and you can disagree with this, and I'll listen to your disagreement should you put a comment in this comment section, but I personally would feel that both are absolutely culpable. Both are absolutely culpable, but the grandmother more so. If the grandmother was the instigator, the one actively forcing the child, she is more culpable in my mind, but that does not in any way excuse the mother for standing by and watching the torturous murder of her own 4-year-old child. Either way, I hope both of them get extremely long sentences. Louisiana, do you have the death penalty? Let me check. Yes, Louisiana does have the death penalty, but seemingly they've not had any executions since 2010, so it's not an effective death penalty by all accounts. My preference is for the death penalty. I feel that scumbags are a stain on the world, on the stain on society, and they ought to be washed away. I think the death penalty is fully just in that regard and fully effective in that regard. Others disagree with that. I do understand the reasons for disagreeing. You would rather see people or know that these scumbags are rotting in their cells, that have to go through the trauma of knowing what they've done and have the opportunity to be attacked or such by other inmates. I understand, but personally, just I've got the kind of mentality where I just feel that just taking the action just to move on in society, just dealing with it and then moving on. And to me, that's what the death penalty offers. And I'm not talking about a long-winded death penalty process where there's appeals and extensions and things like that. No, I'm not talking about that. If it were up to me, of course, this is some bravado spoken by someone on the internet who's got no control or power in such regard, so it's pointless of me saying this, but if it were up to me, I'd literally take scumbags like this out to the back, in a little wooded area like this perhaps, dispense of 2 small brass cylinders to the back of their heads, let them fall into a ditch, maybe not even cover it up for a while, maybe just let it there to rot, to allow the worms and the birds to feast on their evil. Maybe not. Maybe just pour some concrete over it and be done with it. But either way, I'm going to wrap things up at this point. If you do like this type of content, if you value this kind of topic being covered, please do show me some support, like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. If you disagree with anything I've said, please do comment. That's what I'm here for. It's a big part of why I'm here, to have a little bit of a conversation, a bit of interaction with you guys. And stick around. I am trying to make multiple videos every single day. I'm going to fail to do that. I'm going to need to take days off. I'm going to need to take multiple days off from time to time. So this is pretty heavy going and it's time consuming, but I am trying to make multiple videos every day. So stick around and take care, guys. And if you've got an absolute psychopath in your family, kick them the fuck out.